last year settles, and then also by the use that we get, because as we get more usage, it settles more quickly. So Ryan's Park gets more usage, it has settled and compacted more quickly. Eustis Park gets some usage, but the material that we put down there last year hasn't compacted. So I can't put loose material on loose material. I have to put loose material on compacted material.
Okay. How much did you use last year?
Last year, we used 100 cubic yards last year, and then originally, I was planning to use less than that and stockpile it, but like I said, when we dug out the Eustis Park and we put the gravel down, we ended up being about 2 inches deeper, and that accounted for the full use of all of the material that we had bought for last year.
I'm comfortable with voting for it today, then.
Me too. The only question I had was, why did one company give us a price on 90
For 90 yards,
yards?
because for some reason, their trucks come and they only carry 90 yards. So for me to get a quote of 100 cubic yards from that carrier, they have to bring in a second truck, which increases their cost tremendously so. So there was no way for me to get quite an equal, other than breaking it down by the price per yard delivered, which is what I did there.
Okay. All right, the seasonal park maintenance workers?
So I had submitted a letter regarding the seasonal park maintenance workers. I'm asking that that I be allowed to hire 6 workers for this year. That is less than we have had in the past, and but it is basically what we can afford by what is in the budget, and the increase in New York State minimum wage, it limits us to how many workers that we can have.
How many did we have last year?
Last year, we originally hired 6, and then 1 couldn't work, and I did not replace that 1 because by the time we had gone through, I just wasn't
So,
gonna,
all right.
I wasn't just gonna hire another person.
So we
at
had
that
5
point.
last year, we're down to 4.
5 last year. I would like to bring in 6, which is what I originally wanted last year and what we had approved, and then because of somebody getting a full-time position. they
Yeah,
were
I mean,
unable-
how did it work last year with 5? Because I
How-
don't remember you coming to us and saying, we have an emergency, we have a shortage, I need an extra guy. Or maybe you did, we said no, I don't recall. But that sounds about right, too. So, you know, did the park survive last year with 5?
The park survived with 5, but also 2 of the people that I had been long-term workers had come back 4 or 5 plus years, whereas this group, only one of them this will be their 3rd year coming back. The other one, this is only their 2nd year coming back. So I really have a lack of experience, and that really changes how much work they can do, because I have 4 that would be new. They are nice young men, but they are inexperienced. So last year I had Ryan Anders and Rob Webb. Rob Webb is now a full-timer. He, by himself, and I don't want anybody to take this out of context, but in many cases would be worth 2 regular seasonal employees. Now he's a full-timer, which is great as a full-timer.
So how many is he worth now?
As a full-timer, as a full-timer, you know, I would say that probably each of my full-timers is probably worth more than a seasonal worker or 2. That's for sure.
How many applications did you have?
7.
And how do we advertise for them?
Mostly by word of mouth. Some years we have to go out and advertise because we don't have applicants that are interested, people that have come to us that say, you know, we would like a position. So there have been years where we have been very thin on applicants, and we have gone out and we've asked the board to advertise for seasonal positions. There are other years where we haven't had to advertise at all because we had so many returning that were, you know, interested from previous years that we didn't have any positions available. This year, it just so happened that that there were people that are affiliated with the program, either have volunteered or, coached or worked with us in different capacities that put in applications, so we did not have to advertise this year. And I was also comfortable with the applicants that I interviewed, that we didn't have to advertise. There are other years that you get applicants and you still need to go out and advertise because you are unimpressed with the applicant pool. But that was not the case this year.
I just want to make a statement. I think it's important, for future anyway, that you advertise, even in a group release that the town clerk does, and she could have all these positions that are available. I know there's limited positions compared to years ago when we had summer camps and stuff, but I want to be fair and balanced to everybody in our community as far as these jobs. It's rough out there, we know it. We know it, but I just want to be fair and balanced. And although there's only 6 or 7 openings, it's important to advertise all positions, just like the lifeguards and all the other positions that have come out. So that's my statement. I don't want to hold things back, but it's imperative. And I don't know if, did you discuss with Maureen that you were going to interview for the part-time seasonals or anything? Because I didn't know that.
Did I discuss with it? No.
Okay.
These have in the past a situation where the applications come in and I have interviewed, and because they have been seasonal, that I have not in the past. If that is a future consideration where we want to do interviews with the town board members for seasonal positions, that's acceptable with me.
No, just wanted to know what was going on. Okay. But you got to advertise, and that's important. Okay.
Jay, actually, I don't mean to, is it problematic to have not,
No, but it's probably appropriate to advertise.
right?
And you probably have a timing issue at this point, don't you?
Yeah, generally, this time of the year, it would be hard to go back and actually advertise for the positions and then interview and hire in a timely manner.
Do the park guys still help with the Old Mill site? You know what I'm talking about? The historic preservation site?
It depends. Last year, less than there had been in previous years. It depends on who else is taking care of that. Like, they have mowed the lawn there, they've done the trim work there.
Because we used to take care of that. That's why.
That's something where last year there was somebody who was mowing and trimming that was not from my crew a lot of the time.
Were you asked?
So, no, I was not asked. But we have in the past done that, just like
Yeah.
we take care of the town hall complex.
Okay. But for the future, I
Yeah, I think.
and I'll come hard. You got to advertise and be open. And, when we advertised the park position, that was the full-time position, we had 35 applicants. I know in our camps, we've had hundreds of kids. And hopefully, they're all Kent kids from the town. But for the future, please,
Yeah.
advertise on the website, on a town TV, town clerk. It is very important.
And in the paper. All right, and then the next is the agreement with U.S. Sports Institute.
I would like a report of how this has, in the last couple of years, this program has been offered, 2 or 3 years. And I'd like to know what really came off and what didn't. I'm hearing some programs didn't make it. And I'd like to know more detail on this effort, if I can get that somehow.
Absolutely.
Because during the summer, besides just, I don't know, it's 4 or 5 movies, right?
The 4 movies.
4 movies. And that program, is there any other program in the summer besides travel baseball?
Besides travel baseball and the sport camps, right now, we really don't have any other
All right, but-
programs specifically to the public that we...
But those 4 camps that you say 4 camps are something that goes on during a week, a couple hours a week for a different sport, right?
Yeah, they're sports-specific camps that will be run anywhere from a half-day maybe to a full-day camp, depending on which camp it is, that will run generally for a week at a time. So some of these can be run at the same time, some of them cannot be. They need
I would just like a full report of, and I don't know if at the end, did you survey any of the people that are involved to get a feedback? You know, there's been some experiences outside the area, and I'm just, that participate in this, and I'm just wanting to know, you know, if you can give me a sort of a report on this, it'd be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely.
My only question.
And one more thing.
Go back.
I hope that if these courses pull off, that particular agency, and you're on their case, that those counselors that are coming in from outside this area are certified, and they've gone through all the protection to protect our children, okay? And I'm saying this from my experience in the past, the 38 years I've been involved. It is important that we make sure we check and make sure the kids are protected. And I'm making that statement because of what has happened a few years ago, okay? Not here, but around.
My only question is, I was reading your letter. It says we've had some success in offering these programs. What does that mean? I mean, has it not been successful? I mean, when I read that, usually I assumed, I almost misread it. Usually it would say we've had success in offering these programs, but no, it says we've had some success. So some
Depending on-
failure too? or-
Depending on the program, there have been things offered that we did not have enough enrollment to
Okay.
run.
So you mean-
So, you know, some of the programs, we've had enough kids in the program to run. Some of them, we have not had enough kids in the program for...
So you mean
for them.
enrollment-wise, not like there was a problem with the program?
That's correct,
Okay, that's all.
enrollment-wise. Not, there have not been problems with the program, but, you know, one of the things that, you know, we have tried to do is listen to the public and offer programs that they would like us to run. Now, sometimes that translates into successful enrollments, and sometimes it does not. Just because people say they would be interested in a specific sport camp doesn't actually mean they're going to sign up.
That's right.
Okay.
But I would like the numbers of the last couple of years that you've run it, you know, because one of the things that I hope I'll work with Maureen on, I don't want to do this by myself, knowing that I was the former director years ago. But I want to make sure we have a good recreational experience here, and we depend on you. And maybe we have to change some things in the summer. You know, one of the things, oh, Eustis is bringing back the summer camps. Well, we can't afford it now because of the budget changes and stuff. But one of the things I felt was very important, knowing that, you know, for years, we depended on the school district, okay? And I used to sit in that audience out there. You let the school district handle the facilities. Well, now, the school district charges us exorbitant fees. So that has hurt us tremendously. I think that was the big thing that closed our camps, where we put 100 kids to work, and we had 350 kids, our kids, in camps. And it's important that we look at the whole thing to make sure you know, we have a disadvantage because we have no rec center. We have this and that. But there is something that I would ask you to consider, is special events. You have 4 movies. There's a variety of other things that can be done. There's a gentleman sent a letter who wants a kite festival at Eustis Park. I hope you got that letter. I mean, if not, I'll let you have mine. I believe he sent it to you, Supervisor. But let's do special events. Let's tap some of the conservation and things. We have to be different because we don't have the facilities. We're still fighting to enhance and build our parks, never mind a rec center. People can move into the town, they want a swimming pool. We can't afford it. We can't afford the insurance. We're a town of lakes. Let's look at those lakes. Let's see what we can do. You have a lot of people in the town that are highly talented. Let's go after some talent. But I think you need to look at the summer. We need to have some things for the kids and the families. You know, summer is where recreation is. So anyway, that's my speech for today.
Now, when do you have to, is there a time for this contract to be signed? Or do we feel comfortable doing it this evening?
I mean, we are not bound that it has to be signed by any specific time. The only thing is that we will need to advertise, and obviously, the more time that it can be spent advertised, the better chance of registrations and enrollment being where we would like them
I mean,
to
I'm
be.
fine with the contract. Right.
Do you feel like you want to
At
move?
this point, I don't think we're switching summer camp, so.
Right, I think we
Okay.
can go forward.
All right. Any other questions?
Just make sure they have insurance, right?
Yes.
You do that, and then I
Yes.
think they probably name the town of Kent as an
Yes.
additional insured. Very good, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, real property tax exemptions. I put this on for hopefully the final time on the workshop section. I had the feeling the last time that these items were discussed, that the board was pretty interested in moving forward with the business improvement exemption and extending that to 10 years. Was I correct?
I mean, I would like to see that, obviously. I just wanted to comment, there was a bigger crowd last time, but nevertheless, there was a discussion about it, and there was a statement out there that for the business tax exemption, the business could not spend more than $50,000, and that the tax exemption would only be for improvements up to $50,000, which, when you think about it, isn't much money at all. And I was kind of cut off a little off guard because I didn't think that that was necessarily the case. We did look into that, and there is no cap on the business exemption. So if if one of the abandoned properties on the sewer district, somebody wanted to put, a building that cost $300,000 or so, the exemption would apply to the whole building or the whole repair. There is no cap on the $50,000. So if it is okay with the board, I will work with the town attorney and have something drafted for the board to look at within the next few weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry, maybe I'm in a talkative mood.
No, it's good.
I think this is very important. It's part of what we want to do in Route 52. We have a sewer district that we inherited, and we have to make it successful. What concerns me is if you've gone down Route 52 lately, there's an additional for sale signs that have been put up around 52. I believe Dr. Chowdhury will be moving out of the town, and that the building where there's some apartments in Car, it's for sale, that sign went up. I'd like to, I think we really have to get into this. I don't know if there's some kind of a task force, but, and spend some time on this, and hopefully work with the county's IDA. There's a, they come out with all this thing on the website, selling properties. We want to reinvent Kent to a point on that and revitalize that Route 52. We want businesses to hook into the sewer line, and the costs are so high. Is it affordable? We're hearing stories that you can pay $300 and why and empty the tanks. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to do in that Route 52, and we need to increase economic tax base, so maybe someday a day camp can come back.
Well, I mean, I think that, that we can start maybe meeting with the chamber and even the EDC. I think it was naive to think that you put a sewer line in and all of a sudden you're going to have, the Mall of America wanting to come here, or,
I don't think that anybody thought that it was going to be, developed overnight. I think
No,
it was
realize that.
a
This is,
long-term process.
you're right, Penny. This is a
Right, but I mean, I
long-term
think that there's
We
more.
certainly never
I think
ever
that there-
said that it was going to happen fast.
Right, but I think we need more than a sewer line, and I think having this extended business exemption hopefully will
I think it's
encourage,
wonderful.
And I know,
Thing to do.
I know there was pros and cons, and people threw their hands up, why do we need sidewalks? But, okay. But I lived here 60 years, Anthony and a bunch of them, you know, we could have had Lake Carmel sewered at real less cost years ago. We could have done a lot of things, and it was always NIMBY, no, no, no. So let's look at this whole gamut.
I think this is
But
a good step.
I think you need to look at it as a whole, you know, from the sewers to the, now, I want to know why did the sidewalk money get pulled? Is it going to Little Phil? I don't know, but,
The county pulled it.
yeah, I know, it's been pulled again, but that's the second time, right?
Yep. Well-
It's the second time. Why Kent?
I think Paul worked on that.
No, listen,
No, he didn't. No,
so I'm
he
not
said
responsible,
Oh, Paul did it?
No, I mean, I think it's a good lesson that all towns and municipalities should learn, is that there is this idea that there's this guy at the end of the road who doesn't have a face and doesn't have a name is waving money at projects. It's just not realistic. I mean, at the end of the day, the town and the residents are responsible for its own infrastructure, and the only way that gets paid for is by bringing a certain amount, a reasonable amount of commercial development to help pay for the infrastructure that we want and need. And if we wait around, we're not waiting on Little Phil, because it's a dangerous situation. And I'm glad that Bill and Maureen and the board has been, moving forward on that. Some things you can't wait. But we do see that when we wait around for some things for somebody else's money, which is, partially ours anyway, it doesn't always end positively. So we have a section of the state law that allows these tax exemptions. There's an additional section that says, hey, if you want even better exemptions, you can put together a committee, and the committee can have specific requirements for the businesses that come in. And if you do that, the exemption is even more impressive and more palatable to new businesses. So maybe that's the direction the board wants to go. I can produce two proposals. One that would include having to refer it to a committee, which the committee would then say what type of businesses and what type of development we want. That would add additional tax incentives. Or we can do it the standard way, which just increases the incentives over the span of 10 years. But in that plan, if we went with the one that would allow for a plan, you could say that every business that is put in the town of Kent, part of the site plan will include a walking sidewalk in the front with some tree lines. I mean, that's the type of stuff we can do without going and begging for money from other people. If we want to be, pro to development on Route 52, there's ways we can incentivize that, and hopefully, I'm sure the planning board spends hours and hours about whether a side of a slope is going to be public space so that they don't have to put a deposit in. Well, we can require things like sidewalks and things to make the development more beneficial to our residents. So I can produce two resolutions. One, which is one that would have to be referred to a committee. We'd have to appoint a committee, and the committee would say, okay, we want this type of business, and this type of development. And then once that plan is put in place, we get extended tax credits, or we could just do the regular one, which is fine, and extend the credits, which would help the businesses as well.
That wouldn't bring in the planning board at all on this?
No, it's what it is it's not the committee doesn't make any specific site plan decisions. It just basically says, okay, from this part of town to this part of town, we want development. So you target it, and then you say, this is the kind of development we want. And then they produce a report, and we either pass it or we don't. And then if we do pass a committee's report on a specific development plan, then the tax credits, which would be extended out 10 years, are even more, they're more. So, I can't think of a better word.
So someone came in and let's say they wanted to put in a hotel or something.
Sure.
We could turn around and say, okay, we would love to have a hotel, but we want sidewalks in front of that hotel.
Well, that would be part of the site plan process that would go through the planning board. We could do maybe that portion through a planning, we could, create a law that, or put that as part of the criteria the planning board considers and stuff like that.
That's why I brought up the planning board. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, that the specific aspect of sidewalks may have to be a law passed through the planning board, but I haven't really been through the entire development section of this law, and maybe the committee could recommend every business that, looks for the tax credits has to provide a sidewalk. That may be possible, I don't know. So.
I just would ask that, and I see where you're coming, Paul. Maybe I'm too much not realistic or something. I'm asking, let's look at the whole picture. Your tax exempt program is part of that. the sewer district, with all its headaches, I'm losing some hair, more and more hair, but is part of that, and how we make that financially sustainable. The vacant lands that are up Route 52. I would like to see the county, and I don't know if it's the IDA, there's another one, Economic Development Corporation, I believe that.
What did you say?
But why can't they have some pictures of some of the properties for sale on Route 52? And let's reinvent that line there. Let's come up with some ways. And it's not going to be, I agree with Penny, it's a long-term thing. I mean, I remember 30 years ago, I started something, got laughed at, got chased out of one town hall, and I was the first volunteer director, and now that there's a staff of about 25 people and doing a big service to this county. So we can do it if we get, and I'd be happy to try and work on that with the chamber and some other things. I just think it's positive. But you're part of it. Look at the picture. And some of it, like Penny said, might never happen or be long-term.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I would be in favor of, I know there's a new chair of or there will be a new chair of the Economic Development Corporation because the former one has either stepped down or moved on. So I'd be more than happy to co-sign a letter that invites the EDC to a town board meeting when their schedule allows to discuss and you can, you know.
So we gave Maureen more work. Good.
Well, yeah.
Paul said
Well,
he'll
no,
draft
well,
it.
yeah, I'll draft a letter.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So that'll be good. So that'll address the county and funding concerns, and then we can move forward on the other aspect, and you know, we can just keep moving in a full-out assault on
And
development.
I might disagree with you on this one, though. If somebody wants to give us some money, I'm taking it as long as it's legal and within the framework. I saw what they did in the Village of Brewster in some spots. I saw what they did in Cold Spring with some improvements, and they actually, the IDA can fund projects. And maybe one of those projects can help us on Route 52, on somebody else's, you know, somebody's property they want to sell.
If we
you
get
know,
them in there, if we get them in here,
let's
we
do
can
it.
ask them.
Let's get active.
Now, I put the residential capital improvements on as well. And I don't know if we want to
Well,
do the business
I think,
exemption at first and kind of work that through.
you know, I'm known to
and
be a
then
pragmatist,
revisit.
so no, it seems like we have full support with the business one. So we go forward and we see
then
how
we
it
can
feels,
revisit
and we
the
can
Then we
come
can
back.
revisit the
That's,
other
I
one
think
later on.
that's
I'd like to know.
the right order to work it in.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. Okay. Any other comments on the business exemption?
It's quiet out there.
All right. The police consolidation update, it's not that much of an update, but I promised that we would give an update. Chief DiVenieri and I attended a meeting with the county executive, the deputy county executive, the sheriff, and a number of supervisors and police officials from around the county almost 2 weeks ago. And it was a spirited discussion at points. There was a lot of clarification from the town of Carmel, which made it very clear in the meeting that they were never talking about dismantling their police department, and they weren't even necessarily talking about merging police departments into the sheriff's department, but rather consolidating the law enforcement functions of the various police departments in the county into some form. It kind of went back and forth between whether it would be part of the sheriff's department, whether it would just be a newly formed department. Representatives from Cold Spring and the Village of Brewster kind of voiced their satisfaction with their own police departments and thought that this kind of consolidation would not benefit them. They have part-time police forces, they pay very little in their budget for the police departments. And then representatives from towns that did not have police departments voiced their concern that they were very happy with a sheriff's department, and that consolidation was ultimately going to cost them more while taking some of the burden off, for example, the town of Carmel, which has a highly paid, large police force. So what came out of the meeting ultimately was that the county executive is looking to move forward, and Alex, if you want to come up and add.
No, he doesn't.
That the county executive is basically looking to get a grant to look into the idea of consolidation, not only of police departments, but of other offices like assessors, maybe receivers of taxes, and really kind of studying a model of how it would benefit the towns to consolidate. At this stage, you know, it's just looking into